Respected Chairperson of the opening ceremony, Mr. Mahmoudul Islam, Honorable Additional Secretary, Ministry of Water Resources, respected Chief Guest, Honorable Secretary to the Ministry of Water Resources, Mr. Kabir bin Anwar, respected special guest, Dr. Sultan Ahmed, Director General, Department of Environment, Professor Umme Kulsum Navera of BUET, Mr. Arun Jacob of UNESCAP, representatives from different ministries, departments, directorates, universities, think tank organizations, civil society, business organizations, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. I'd like to welcome you to today's workshop on developing industrial water use policy in Bangladesh, jointly organized by UNESCAP and WARPO. You know, WARPO is an autonomous entity responsible for preparation of macro-level planning in the water resources sector under Ministry of Water Resources. We are thinking of undertaking an industrial water use policy. Why we have taken this initiative, I'll briefly explain that initiative. You know, the industrial sector of Bangladesh is expanding and contributing larger share in the GDP. The expansion is expected to put pressure on water resources in the coming years as the sector is booming very fast with the progress of Bangladesh. If we do not manage this resource in a prudent way and in a planned manner, then we'll be in crisis, we'll be in trouble as far as the environment and water is concerned in the coming years. SDG 6 also seeks to halt the degradation and destruction of water-related ecosystem. That's why in the National Work Plan of SDG implementation has given the mandate to the Ministry of Water Resources to formulate a policy on industrial water use. That's why we have taken this initiative under the guidance of the Ministry of Water Resources. And in this area, you know, UNESCAP is the expertise and they promote regional knowledge exchange and collaboration for many years. And now they are here with us in Bangladesh and will be benefiting from their collaboration, knowledge and expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not talk too much in this session. I just welcome you to our day-long event of this workshop. I express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Chief Guest for his kind consent to come up here and give us time and grace the chair of Chief Guest in this auspicious occasion. I'll also extend my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to the Honorable Chairperson, respected Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Water Resources, for his continuous support and guidance in preparation of this workshop. I will also thank Mr. Dr. Sultan Ahmed, Honorable Director General of Department of Environment, for his insightful suggestions in holding this workshop. Professor Umme Kulsum Navera is always with us with her expertise and knowledge, and she also continues extends her support in preparing the concept note and also in going with the agenda. Finally, I'd like to thank Mr. Arun Jacob, who has kindly extended their support from UNESCAP in organizing this national workshop in Dhaka, and I hope we'll have greater collaboration in the coming years. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I thank you for your presence here, and I hope this will create an opportunity to build a platform of collaboration and cooperation in the days to come, because this is not the final stage of preparing this guideline, rather it's the beginning, and we'll have more interactions in the future. So thank you all, and with these few words, I'd like to conclude here. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your welcome speech. I would kindly like to invite now Mr. Arun Jacob, PhD, Environment Affairs Officer from the UN ESCAP, to deliver a speech.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Honorable delegates on the dais. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm keeping it short because we are running a bit into the schedule. So why are we here from a UN perspective in terms of why the theme we are discussing today is important in the context of sustainable development? ESCAP, as the regional development arm of the UN, is tasked with the job of taking stock every year of how well the region, the Asia-Pacific region, is doing in terms of SDGs. And the latest report, which got released last month, shows that the two headline results there. One, we are not on track in terms of attaining any of the SDGs. And even more pessimistic news is that in 3 of the SDGs, we are actually not making progress when you look from 2000. We are actually regressing. We're actually moving in the opposite direction of the 2030 agenda. So what are these 3 goals? One of the goals is SDG 6. People might be surprised with this research. Okay, how come? Because we have, increased access to water and sanitation everywhere. So why is it that in the SDG 6, when we look at the region as a whole, we are actually not making progress, we are actually regressing? So 2 main indicators are contributing to this. One is the water use efficiency in our sectors, in different sectors of our economy, and also maintaining the health of our ecosystems, or water-related ecosystems. So 2 of these kind of targets for which we have measurable data across the region, it shows that since 2000, we were actually not making progress, we were actually regressing. So what we are discussing today, considering the immense importance of industrial sector for the region as a whole, for the economic vitality of the region as a whole, this issue is of utmost relevance. So that's the first point. Second one, the industrial sector is poised for great transformation in our region. So the reason why I say that is especially because of what's happening in China. So China has made it very clear that over the next 10 to 15 years, it wants to graduate into higher technology industries. It wants to transform itself to a consumer-oriented kind of economy. So if that has to happen, the industrial capacity in China and elsewhere has to relocate to other parts of the region. So that means that countries like Bangladesh, who are envisioning to transition itself to a higher middle income economy in the future, would be the host of this industrial expansion. So it is a great opportunity for countries like Bangladesh. It is definitely a tremendous opportunity, but of course it comes with its list of challenges in terms of managing the environmental dimension and the social dimension of progress, so that we can actually transform the industrial expansion, not just to become a vital aspect of economic growth, but actually become the key to sustainable development. So how to do it? So we need kind of foresight in our policy making. We need a better policy architecture and implementation of this policy architecture as we go forward, to actually not just to respond to the challenges we face, but actually look forward and actually prepare ourselves to the kind of industrial expansion which is going to happen in countries like Bangladesh. So that's the second point. And the third point, this whole theme kind of opens itself out to a good platform for regional collaboration. So in Bangkok, in February, we hosted actually a regional workshop which was attended by a big delegation from Bangladesh, including representatives from WARPO. That's how this whole partnership started. So when we exchanged the experiences across the countries in the region, it was very easy to figure out that the challenges confronted are very common. There are quite of commonalities in terms of the challenges, and also in terms of the policy tools everyone is using is pretty much similar. So we have to actually work together, join forces to understand how we can, to kind of tackle the environmental implications of the industrial expansion. And there are quite a few of recommendations that came out from the workshop, which I will present during my presentation slides later. But I will stop with that. And just a word that I'm not here with just UN SGAP. We have the UN partners from a country. I recognize UNIDO country representative Mr. Saki Usman and UNDP representative Mr. Aminul Islam. And we also have representative from IFC and also the development partner community as a whole. And also I would like to do a shout out to our ESBN task force active member Mr. Asif Ibrahim also, who is here with us today. So it is a good kind of representation that the development community and the development partners are here as one to support the government in its process in terms of championing this initiative of responding to the challenges posed by industrialization adequately. So with those words, I just conclude, and thank you very much. It's a wonderful collaboration which we are looking forward to engaging. So this is not just one-off workshop. We hope to continue this collaboration to see this policy being developed through a participatory process involving all stakeholders, including all government ministries, but also the non-governmental stakeholders and the private sector at large in this process. I look forward to this process and also to see this outcome of this so that we can actually share with other countries in the region who are also looking forward to see, what can we learn from this experience in Bangladesh. I stop now. Thank you very much. Looking forward to learning from each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Jacob, for your insights. Now, I would kindly like to request Dr. Umme Kulzum Navera, Professor of the Department of Water Resources Engineering, BUET, to deliver a speech among us.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum everyone. The Honorable Chief Guest, the special guest and the chairperson of this workshop. I would like to welcome everyone here because today we are here for a very noble work to do this for this country, I should say. So I will not elaborate. I will just give you some, not data, but some things that are going to be happening in next 10 years, I should say. If the business as usual situation goes on in Bangladesh, now the textile and leather industries, they are using nearly 4,000 megaliters of water per day. So it's the business as usual situation, and if it goes like this, in 2030, we need another more 6,700 megaliter of water per day. So we will need it if we do not go for any higher technology or something. So we have to think about that where this water will come from, and we have to make our policy, our regulations based on this data that already in our hand. And side by side, if we see the pollution level in Bangladesh from 2014 to 2030, I'm using the data from IFC. They say that from this textile industry only, it's in tons per year. It was around 5.8 lakh tons per year in 2014, and if it goes like this, it will become 18 lakh tons per year. So we have to think about that as well, that how to tackle this huge amount of production with this huge amount of pollution. So we have to tackle both the source of water and how to use this water, and how to use this water in a very efficient way, and the third one is how to reduce the pollution. So a lot of things we have to think when we go for this industrial water use. And in the last meeting what we had, it was my question like that why it is only industry means the industries, why not it agriculture industries, why not it is the other industries in this country, because they give a lot of input in our industrial sector. By definition, are we going for only for the industries or the industries? So that is another thing we can think about in this this workshop. And also, whenever we think about the use of water, what about the value of water and what about the pricing of water? That should come in this workshop. I expect that this will be one of our leading questions in this. Yeah. And I will just recall what is on book already in Bangladesh. I will recall that in our Water Act, it's very we are very fortunate that we have a very good Water Act. In Chapter 2, in Article 10, we know that what control means. We have the idea of what is control means, that including imposing bans, restriction and conditions. So we have that in our hand. What is in Chapter 5, it is clearly written what is the control on use on protection and conservation of water resources. So we have that in our hand. So when we think about this industrial water policy, these tools are in our hands. So it will make, I think it will strengthen our opportunities more. We have in Article 19, we have how to fix the safe yield level. We have that. We have to know that what is the safe yield level of an aquifer. So when we go for this policy, we have to think about it again. And lastly, I will talk about the water zone demarcation for management and use. That is, there are 4 water zone demarcation for industrial water zone, for agriculture water zone, and brackish water aqua zone and hatchery water zone. I will talk about the industrial water zone and the agricultural water zone. Just for an example, if there is 100 liters of water, because we work side by side, we don't work together in Bangladesh. So if there are 100 liters of water and the agriculture people say that we can use 40 liters and I am on safe side because I am not going to this ill level. And if the industry people says that, okay, I am using 40 liters and I am on safe side, but we are using 40 plus 40, 80. That should be very clear that 40 means 40 for everyone to make this safe yield level. That is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam, for your wonderful speech. You have presented some very useful information before us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have among us Dr. Sultan Ahmed, Director General, Department of Environment. I now invite Dr. Sultan Ahmed to present his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chairperson of this workshop, very important, timely workshop on developing an industrial water use policy for Bangladesh. Mr. Mahmoudul Islam, Additional Secretary, Minister of Water Resources. Honorable Chief Guest and respected Secretary, Mr. Kabir bin Anwar, Minister of Water Resources. Professor Kulsum Nagara from Department of Water Resources Engineering, Kuwait. Mr. Arun Jacob from UN Economic and Social Commission of Asia and the Pacific. Distinguished experts, scientists, and academia. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. First of all, I am very much thankful and grateful to Ministry of Water Resources and also Water Resources Planning Organization for inviting Department of Environment and personally me for this very important workshop. Thanks very much. What I would say that water is a universal solvent, and that's why water is very much susceptible to pollution. And when we use water, we should keep in mind. There is a definition put forward here. And you will find that natural resources management definitions are put in a linear frame. I use water and then dispose water. what will happen, what is the quality of the disposed water, where it goes. Definition doesn't cover that, scope that. We should have a circular definition of water use. I use natural resources like water. I use it, I pollute it, and then I release it in the open environment. This should not be water use definition. Water use definition should be a circular one. That what water I use, I should have my effort to release water in a standard form so that it doesn't pollute the ecosystem environment. It can be used by the ecosystem environment. So I would say that we should have a thinking about the definition, very definition of water use, industrial water use, or any kind of water use. And nature has put things in a balanced way. You see, air is a mixture of nitrogen and oxygen. And because of this mixture, oxygen can easily be dissolved in water. Water is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen. But the dissolved water that is coming from the atmosphere is only used by the aquatic animals for breathing and you see, the Creator has put things in such a balanced way for a harmonization in nature. But what we do, when I drop some organic substance in water, it starts decomposing, and by bacterial decomposition or biological decomposition. It needs water, it needs oxygen. And this oxygen is coming from the dissolved oxygen. I mean, the biochemical oxygen demand has been fulfilled by the dissolved oxygen. That dissolved oxygen is coming from the atmosphere. Again, when we release untreated effluent in the water courses, then it gets reduced or disintegrated. And that for that disintegration, also there is a chemical oxygen demand. And you see our rivers, the dissolved oxygen, when it goes down 5 milligram per liter, the biological stresses start, and biological community feel stress of living, and then they go away. If they cannot go away, they die simply. And Buriganga, Turak, Balu River, 4 or 5 months of the year is dead because of our water use and water disposal. I mean, we use precious groundwater. We take water from under the ground. We use it in our process and we pollute it. And then without treatment, we dispose it in the open environment. This is not a Homo sapiens work. I would say that we have to think very seriously how we use water. This is one thing. So I think the Ministry of Water Resources and the Water Resources Planning Organization, we can see visible leadership, able leadership in this sector, and with the able leadership of the Secretary, and also I see very young, and I was working in the Ministry for many times, many years. I worked in the water sector for about 18, 19 years, from the very beginning, Irrigation, Water Development, Flood Control Ministry, and then Water Resources Ministry, and I worked as CGs and WARPO. I know everything. But I see a new and very dynamic leadership is in place now, and I hope that we have to master the things. And I hope that these 4 or 5 years, in the coming 4 or 5 years, will be a very different year or time for many of the sectors, like a very important sector, water sector. So I'm very much hopeful. Mohammedul Hassan is here, the Director General of Water Resources Planning Organization. Tawfiq is here, also Director Technical, and I see all. I have also talked. There is a visible stride in the institution in Water Resources Planning Organization. This is good news for us. And then this is very rightly put in industrial water use should have a policy. You see, we use water with a low gradient of value. I mean, we use huge amount of water in agriculture sector. One liter of agriculture sector water use has the value. That 1 liter, if we use in an efficient industry, that has high, many times value. So we have to also compromise with this thing. How we can transfer our low gradient water use to high gradient water use. I mean, high value water use. We have to think about it and how we can reduce water use. My director, Environment Clearance, will be present here. He will give a presentation in the technical session. In tannery sector, we as per our standard, we used to use 30 meter cube of water. They are using 60 meter cube indiscriminately. The precious groundwater they are drawing up. We have to put some regulation here, and this is the time I think we have to go. And we cannot do otherwise. So I would say that Department of Environment, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change always will be with you. And the mandate for Water Resources Planning Organization and also the mandate for Department of Environment or Ministry of Environment is very clear. We can work together, and this is the time we should work together. And we will be there always in terms of, because the chemical pollution of water resources or chemical pollution in the environment is very much visible, and it has got very immediate impact on the ecosystem. But there is also non-chemical, I mean, the altering the natural resource, natural system, it also has got, like FCDI project, flood control, drainage irrigation, putting embankment, empoldering, or putting a dam across the river has got huge impact. Maybe that is different, we can talk differently, but chemical pollution of water resources we should take care of. And also Professor Nabra also raised a very good question that only industrial water use policy or which kind of water policy will be. I mean, the water use that gets that has a potential pollution in the water system, that all should be covered in this in the name of industrial water use. I think that will be then a comprehensive one. So I will not take much time, but I am again thankful and grateful to Water Resources Ministry and also Water Resources Planning Organization. I can see in this room all are wise men. They have huge experience in policy level, in implementation level, on the ground level. I think WARPO and Ministry of Water Resources has got a great job here, mobilize all the important and academia practitioners, even the development partners, and I think big heads are here. So I hope that today's workshop will bring out a lot of new issues and important issues and put together so that we can have an industrial water use policy. And Department of Environment, as Department of Environment is invited here, we are always with you, and I hope that we have to bring those who are user of water resources, we have to bring in all stages of development of this industrial water use policy. We should not take them away from it. We should take in them. They should understand and they should own this policy. It should have a regulatory, at the same time it should have ownership policy, sort of, both ways. So please always keep them on board, talk to them, and the impact of pollution, the cost of pollution is as such. Government can have some equity in this process, can help the industrial sector, incentivizing them and motivating them that in a long run, your industry will be sustained only when you make your industry a circular one, not a linear one. What you use and dispose of that thing without treatment, you should not do that, because one day you will not be able to run your industry because of resources. It's not only water, the sediment is also highly polluted, and that has gone down in the the water resources, as Dr. Ajahar is here, he will also, that from his study, recent study, that they all districts around, the industry, heavy industry districts are there around, and the water, groundwater, the polluted water from the surface water is coming down, and because water has been withdrawn indiscriminately from the Dhaka water aquifer, so there is a suction, and this pollution is going down, and the Dhaka water shade is or aquifer is getting polluted. So this is a serious concern for us. We have to think about it, and I think that today's discussion will bring out a lot of knowledge from the experience, from the ground work, and we will be having a comprehensive note or a draft for industrial water use in Bangladesh. And I again express my gratitude and also my commitment that in any stage, at any stage, Department of Environment will be with you. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. You have presented before us very valuable information that will be very useful in constructing the policy that we seek to make. It is indeed a high time to control the pollution in the environment. Thank you, sir, for your suggestions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate to have with us here today Mr. Kabir bin Anwar, Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Water Resources, as the chief guest of our program today. We are honored for his kind presence at this program. We all know about his keen interest on water and environmental issues. He is also well known for his personal drive for restoring rivers, water ecosystems, and our biodiversity. I would now kindly like to request Sir to deliver his